Oscars for the brilliant Dances with Wolves, Kevin Costner keeps proving he has a passion and talent to make history come alive. And now he's taking you on an all-new epic adventure. Please welcome authors Kevin Costner and Jon Baird. You are smitten. What are you talking about grabbing your heart, Candace?
You're my crush. Growing up.
Kevin Costner is your crush?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm blushing.
Well, Jon Baird, you are my crush. You are my crush.
I got this side of the table, you got that side. All right, how you doing?
Share crushes. But this is so exciting, Kevin, because we know you with your Oscars, you're a director, actor, and now you're an author of this wonderful book. Where did this come into play?
Well, this happened, John. Thank you, number one, for
the crush
all
of
the question. John came to me about 8 years ago, and sometimes people think things are overnight successes or things just, how did that happen? Well, it started 8 years ago. He came to me with this story that I actually didn't understand. And I said, look, why don't you come up to the house? Let's talk about it a week later. He did, and didn't explain it that well the second time. But 8 years, but 8 years later, we really, 3.5 years ago, we just started writing this book together. And
but it has like a lot of historical references. Could you tell the audience about the book?
Yeah, John, tell us what's unique about it.
What's unique about it? Well,
it's big and really heavy.
Yeah, I mean, I think like today, just being a book is unique a little bit in itself. But this is supposed to be, we present it as kind of a throwback to some of the high adventure stories that we used to love as kids. And I was reminded on the way in, it's fun too. So it's a sort of a kind of a rollicking adventure like that covers the globe.
We have all these books from the last century, Kipling and Jules Verne and Mark Twain, and those books sit on our shelf. And we thought, what if we could this century create a book that sits on the shelf that you once in a while go over and grab it off, pull it down.
It's also very beautiful.
It has that good sound. You kind of blow the dust off and you say to somebody, let's read the Explorers Guild. That's what we were hoping. Now, that's pretty lofty company, obviously, the names we just mentioned. But if you don't try to be about something, you just simply never get there. So whether we are or whether we're not, what we wanted to be was a book of this century that travels through time going forward.
And that's a great segue, actually, because Kevin, we know you're a huge history buff. You recently narrated a special on Billy the Kid, and I know you do a lot of history things. If you could go back in time and live in any century, any time in the world, it's a very pageant question. What century would you like to live in and why, Mr. Costner?
I think, for me, I would probably go back to the early part of America before it was even called America. I think to see this country when the people, the first people that were here, I think the mountain men got it right. Not the people that settled the West, but the people that came to explore it, that saw the United States when it was probably like the Garden of Eden. That would have been something to see our land like that.
I could see you as a very convincing mountain man. Yeah. Actually, you said that. I'm like, that makes sense to me. I like that.
He made his own canoes. He's sort of gone down some of the trails that Lewis and Clark did.
No, you're kidding.
Yeah.
Where was my call? I would have been there in the canoe.
It was watching Dances with Wolves that I fell in love with you. And next month, I'm fangirling right now. I'm so sorry. Next month is the 25th anniversary, and you won Best Director, and Beck, it was Best Picture. And what are some of the special memories from that movie? What stands out most for you?
It's interesting. I'm not trying to draw people back to the book, but I mean, when I went off to do Dances with Wolves, no one wanted to make it. I had to use some of my own money. People thought, what in the world are you doing? It was one of the great times in my life. And sometimes when you follow your heart, when you go where people think maybe you shouldn't go, sometimes what happens is the greatest things happen. And that movie really marked my life. It changed it. And maybe I was too young to be afraid. And when we started to write this book, Explorers Guild, people were saying, what are you writing a book? Why? What do you... I don't know why I try so hard to put myself in places where I could fail so badly publicly.
But it's such a high when you actually do it.
I think you live your life, you know, and I've had a life where I have been bruised in my life. It's not like I've had it perfect, but I think, you know, you get this chance, you swing for the fences, and when we made this book together, we thought, we want something to outlast us. And I know this book turned out better than I thought it ever could.
Wow. You know, I want to turn it around a little bit, Kevin, because you're the father of 7, and your youngest being 5 years old. So you're a family man here. Do you ever pick the movies that the kids are going to watch? Are you in charge of that?
Yeah. Well, I'm not anymore. I don't get to. I think when that finally stopped, we had on our property, we live right on the ocean, and for whatever reason we decided to put a giant screen out, like the size of a movie theater, and we invited all my kids. There was probably 70, 80 kids, and we set up tents because we spent the night, and all the families came, and I picked the movie, and everybody was in. It was like a drive-in, but you're in the little lawn chairs and the blankets and stuff, and the ages went from like 5 to 8, and I picked the movie that I really thought that they would love. I picked Black Stallion. And, of course, it starts off really kind of violently, and all the kids recoil. You know, the ship's sinking, the boys being drowned, the horses drowning, everybody's drowning. And I'm looking at this, and I'm just going, this is the greatest movie, and the children are running to their tents, and my wife just went, what? I said, well, this is a great movie. And she goes, you're not picking the movie anymore. You just, I said, this is a child's movie. I said, I can't. She said, no. I said, but I could, no. So I can't.
So you are not allowed to pick.
I'm not the guy.
You're like next week's Scarface. Come on, kids.
Kevin and John, thank you for coming. The Explorers Guild Volume 1 is out today. Thanks to Kevin Costner and Jon Baird. We're getting back into Hot Topics right after this.